my wedded wife,
to be my wedded husband,
to have,
to hold,
from this day forward, for better
or worse,
for richer
or poorer,
in sickness,
and in health,
till
death do us part, according to God's holy ordinance. I pledge thee my faith and myself to you. Today, I had a sit down with Darius and Maria Smith, a young newlywed couple thriving at the top of their game until life happened, and Maria fell ill. At 27 years old, she was faced with much adversity when her creatinine levels were 13 milligrams. The normal range is 0.6 to 1.2 milligrams. Stick around as they share their story of how they triumphed in their in sickness and in health vows.
It started with the phone call for me. And really, I was just anticipating that, your child has a cold, just some little flare-ups from me working in medical, that it's just some, little side effects. But when we got there and she was telling me about the test results, the BUN creatinine, all I could feel in my heart was like my heart just started aching. I felt empty. I felt helpless. But at the same time, I knew that I had to be strong. But I have never felt the kind of twinching, pulling within my heart, because I knew those numbers were somewhat deadly numbers.
Right.
And with all of that, all I could think of was, I gotta be strong, I gotta be strong.
Hey everybody, Angie here, and I am with Darius and Maria Smith. How are y'all today?
We're good. How are you?
Good. So this episode is about in sickness and in health, and these people happen to be my godson's parents, and they had went through an ordeal back in, it was October 2017?
Yes.
Okay, October 2017, where Maria ended up in the hospital due to her kidney levels being at a high 13. Now, if you're not familiar with creatinine in kidneys, you should know that the normal creatinine level for an adult is 0.6 to 1.2 milligrams, and hers was 13 when she went into the hospital. We all enter marriage hopeful that things like this won't happen, our adversity will be limited, we won't face any challenges. Were you prepared for something like this?
No, not coming from my health.
Mm-hmm.
We were prepared for Darius maybe to get a little ill, get a little sick, because he has Crohn's disease. So, when I first met him, he was telling me the worst that could happen. We went through surgery. So for me to get sick, it was kind of like, where did this come from? Out of the blue. And
because y'all were expecting
Right.
you to be the one to end up.
I was, I always envisioned myself, I used to have dreams and stuff, where either I'm sick or I done died, so my mind is already, it's kind of there, which is not good. You need to be more optimistic, but, so we was always kind of thinking like, okay, anybody gonna get sick is probably me. But,
Okay.
the Lord said, it's not always the leaning tree sometimes, so,
Okay. So y'all were definitely prepared for sickness, just not in this type of form. Got you. So the kidney levels were extremely high. In y'all's mind, did you think that death was coming, or you were on your deathbed, and how did you cope with that as her husband?
For me, when they said the actual number, and then we said what's the normal for an adult. In my mind, I didn't immediately think like death. I just thought like, man, she might have to be on dialysis for for a long period of time, for a lifetime possibly. With being 13, that's basically in my mind. I'm thinking, I don't know if her kidney's gonna bounce back, and I think in the moment the doctor said it, I kind of kept it together. But when I had to go out and tell my folks, it was like I kind of broke down crying, because it's like, I almost felt like, I dealt with a lot of health issues growing up myself, and it still like, kind of felt like a punishment at times. I was like, man, why am I having to deal with this? Like it had to come together. Mama kept telling me, look, y'all gonna be okay, we're gonna pray about it, and so I said, I agree, like, yeah, we're gonna be all right. And I got myself together and I came back in. I knew, like, you're gonna be alright. You know, I just because ultimately, like it's mental. Anything a lot of times, stuff that you go through it's the mentality.
So elaborate on that a little bit. So you said you almost had a breakdown as far as like, were you just asking God? Was it like kind of why her, or my grandma had a son that passed away from leukemia. He was 11 years old, and she said my grandfather was like, I would give anything just to switch places. Were you kind of in that situation?
Most definitely, just because of the things I've been through. I was like, just put it on me. Like I know how to battle through this. And at the time, I was like, I didn't know how she was going to deal with this because she never dealt with something so severe.
Right.
But yeah, I mean, it was a tough thing. But I knew I told her. I mean, within like the first couple of hours, I was like, it's all in your mind.
Yeah.
If you feel like you're gonna get better and come through this, you will. If you feel like my life is over, then this is gonna spiral into.
And how are you coping? Because he just said you never had to deal with a sickness like this on yourself.
I had moments where I was up, and then I had moments where I was just low. My mom, she'll come and visit me at the hospital, and she'll ask me something, and I promise you I will be like, she'll say, girl, if you don't speak up, you're not about to die. You gotta act like, you gotta walk and talk like you're gonna be better. So once she told me that, it kind of stuck with me, and I started feeling, my demeanor, my attitude towards it all, it kind of started to change and became a positive light. We had board games in the hospital. We was playing Connect Four.
I was losing. I was
Like,
behind.
and like everybody in the hospital, they was like, you're so young to be going through this, but your spirit and your personality is like, you're gonna be fine. Because I saw people in the dialysis center that was even that were younger than me.
Wow.
So, and they had that Debbie Downer type attitude. And even the older people had the Debbie Downer attitude.
Really?
Yes.
It's easy.
And no, we're not supposed to eat fried chicken. What you having for Thanksgiving? I'm gonna try to stay away from the salt foods and things like that. So, I'm gonna have some fried chicken, and I'm like, oh, so you just
They wasn't even trying to get that.
right? They weren't even trying, but for me, I was like, okay, I'm gonna think positive. I'm gonna do what I gotta do and have a positive attitude. But in the beginning, it was hard. It was hard.
I can only imagine. Like you said, you were young, so you were 27 years old. You were just pretty much a newlywed because you guys just got married in March 2016, right? And new parents. So I'm pretty sure, how did it affect your marriage, good and bad? Do you feel like it strengthened you? Were there times where it was challenging to deal with one another?
I don't think it was challenging for us to deal with each other, but when I first got sick, me just moping around the house, I didn't have energy. He would say I was lazy, but I just really didn't.
I didn't say you were lazy. I thought you were being lazy. But the longer it started lasting, I'm like, okay, it went from being lazy to, is she depressed or something?
Yeah, okay.
And then it started, when I started noticing she would walk up the stairs, and it's like, man, she breathing kind of heavy. And I'm like, okay, I know, you know what I'm saying, you can be out of shape, but that's not out of shape.
Right.
That seems like something was wrong,
Right.
So that's when this stuff started going off in my head, like, okay, something may not be quite right.
So you thought she was kind of falling into a depression, just in your own personal
Yeah,
opinion?
that's what it started to seem like. She would kind of sleep a lot. I don't think you were eating a whole lot. It just was, I mean, when I say sleep a lot, I mean it would be basically come home and sleep for 3-4 hours at a time. It's like, okay, that's, you sleep for a long time, and I got mineral right around. It was good sleep. You got good sleep, right?
During that time, do you feel like you were falling into a depression, or was it just a sickness taking over your body? And were there moments where you felt like giving up?
I don't think I was falling into a depression. I felt like I was stressed out because I'm a teacher as well. So I felt like the job and everything was just taking a toll on me.
Right.
it wasn't until my feet started swelling that I kind of was like, okay, something might just be wrong.
Right.
Like, I had an excuse for every symptom.
Yeah.
Being tired, sleeping 3-4 hours at a time. I wake up at 5 in the morning. I had to drive an hour to work. I had an excuse for it. My feet swelling. I even had an excuse for that. I stand on my feet all the time. I had an excuse for every.
You were trying to justify.
Yes, justify. But I don't think I was falling into a depression. I would say it was more so stressing out at the job. I got to the point where I felt like I didn't like my job. I would call my mom in the morning and I would just cry. But I actually think being emotional was a symptom as well. But I would just cry. Like, Mom, I don't want to go to work. I don't want to go to work. And, you know, she was trying to hype me up and tell me, you know, you're good at what you do and you have a beautiful family. And but she thought I had postpartum. But even going through having a sorority sister who went through it, I was messaging her. I was like, is it like he's 10 months? Can I have postpartum?
Right.
But once, I mean, Mama was Google Doc just like him.
Yeah, I mean, it was little. The longer it went, it was like more and more signs.
Right.
Like, because I think there is a symptom as far as like when something's wrong with your kidneys. I think like your breath will have a different smell to it. Not like a bad smell. It'd be like a.
I know he loves me because I noticed my breath had a scent, but he never said anything. He didn't say anything until we went. No, it wasn't until we went to the ER, and I was like, man, I really want a Chick-fil-A sandwich. And so he brings it back after giving me a fuss about going to Chick-fil-A. He brings it back. And I was like, this doesn't even taste like a Chick-fil-A sandwich. I really wanted the lemonade. It didn't taste like a lemonade. So he finally said, well, a symptom, he didn't say kidney failure. He said, you know, your taste buds or your breath can have a scent.
Right.
And I'm like, so my breath been kicking and you ain't been telling me.
You know, in my mind, I'm like, man, that don't smell like morning, bro. But I'm like, okay, let me give it some time, though. Maybe
it just smelled different.
It smelled different. It smelled different. Right.
So for people to understand why, since my kidneys were failing, I wasn't going to the restroom. Oh, and that's another thing, going to the restroom. Teacher, we don't use the bathroom. So when they kept saying, you didn't know that you weren't going to the bathroom, when do I have time to go to the restroom? Like, it never fazed me. But, so we won't get off topic. Since I wasn't going to the restroom, the waste had to come out somehow.
Right.
So it would start coming through the mouth.
Oh, okay.
So all of the things that I was eating, all the waste that normally should be flowing out of you know, urine and bowel movements, it was just coming out.
So how long, just for people to understand, how long were you going to work before you ended up in the hospital with all of these symptoms?
It started with the stomach virus. So like the first week in October, and that's where it all started, stomach virus, and it just got worse from there. Right. So the first week of October all the way down to the week of the 4th week. Because it was coming up to the Mountain Olive Association. So about 4 weeks, and I was still going to work. They kept telling me, you need to go to the hospital. I was still going to work. Wow. It wasn't until I sent my mom a picture of my feet that we was like, okay, you got to go to the hospital. Because that's not normal.
Yeah. So at the time, a baby was involved. Little Benjamin, he was
10 months.
10 months? Okay. So how did y'all cope with the baby? Did you have any assistance at this time?
When I first felt sick, Daddy was being Superman, and he took care of him all the time. My first trips that I started consistently going to the urgent care and things like that, my cousin Tiffany would take me to the urgent care, and she'll watch Benjamin until my mom came so I could sleep and Mom would watch Benjamin. But once I went into the hospital, his parents took him and watched him for that extended length of time when I was in the hospital. So we had a support system.
That's good.
And
shout out to the grandparents.
Right.
Doing business.
Yes.
If we didn't have them, I think we would have been. I think it would have been even more stressful.
Because at 10 months he had just started walking.
Yeah, so you just starting to walk and
getting in the stuff.
Yes. And that was part of I come home with him and sleep on that couch. I ain't know what he was getting into. That's how tired I was.
Yeah, and that was another thing, like coming home and he run around and she like out, and I'm like, man, this is something can't be right. Right. So,
yeah. Obviously, your marriage vows in sickness and in health were tested. I don't know if you guys noticed, but divorce rates are higher when the wife is sick.
Oh, really?
Sick by 6%. How did y'all cope when you finally did get home and out of the hospital? What was life like? Did you realize that you had to chip in more around the house, clean up a little bit more?
What?
I don't know.
To a degree. But I did notice. I was like, okay, well, let me try my best to alleviate some of the stress that she may, be dealing with on a daily basis. But, man, how would you say it changed?
He helped a lot around the house. I don't think we had it. To me, I felt like it brought us closer together. I don't think we had any bad moments.
Not doing that.
Yeah, I don't.
It was more of working as a team. You realize one partner is down. I need to pick up the slack.
Right.
Yes, and roles actually kind of reversed. Normally, getting ready for work, he would assist with Benjamin, getting Benjamin ready just so I can get ready and get out of the house. But of course, I wasn't working. So now for him to get out of the house, I was assisting with getting Benjamin ready while he got dressed. So even when it came to cleaning up, he'll clean. He didn't cook because
I cook sometimes.
you can cook some, but I'm not saying that. But I'm saying the food part, I had to start the diet. So I had to cook. I was still cooking because like I say, I couldn't be a Debbie Downer. So I would have to cook separate things. No salt for me. If I had pork chops, mine didn't have salt. His did have the salt. So
a lot of salt.
You were being reasonable.
I was being reasonable.
You weren't changing his diet because your diet had
even
changed.
though they told me that they were gonna do it with me. That didn't last but a day.
I could have done it.
No.
But, what I'm saying?
You could have. But
I could have. I think you cooked me
we had some meatloaf.
Yeah, something that you cook the way you need to eat it, and I was kind of like, I eat it. Yeah, a little salt.
wasn't feeling it.
Right. I wasn't feeling it. But
But I don't think we had any bad.
It wasn't. No.
I think at that point it was like, okay, we know what the cause is. We just need to focus on Kim, but I don't think we had any.
No.
Right. Yeah. Well, I commend y'all as a young couple, especially being newlyweds, going through that so early on as far as sickness, because that's something that a lot of people just run from as soon as somebody falls ill and things of that sort. My grandfather was in the hospital. He was in a fire and he was on a ventilator, and y'all's situation kind of reminds me of theirs, where she just had to pick up, go to work, even though he was primarily the breadwinner. She had to pick up and carry on as if, hold it down. And that's exactly what you did for her. Did y'all ever feel frustrated with the process as far as being out of work, financial reasons, all the doctor's appointments you had to go to?
I was frustrated more so. I'm not trying to knock nobody's business, but daycare is extremely difficult. Currently, Benjamin's at a great daycare, and he was prior to when I got sick. He's at the same one that prior to. But when he had to change to a daycare, he hated it. He despised that daycare. And we could tell because his school pictures from his other daycare, he's smiling, he's happy. And on this daycare, it's like, he showed he didn't want to be there. But that, to me, that was the most frustrating part, having to take him someplace that he didn't like during this time. That was really mine. Yeah. And I was ready to get him out of there.
I think for me, just seeing your wife like seriously sick, because we've had cases where you going through dialysis, and I think somebody in church would end up passing away from dialysis. I'm not, or kidney failure or something like that, or somebody got sick.
Maybe.
I think it was something. So I'm thinking about that, and and then at the time I would be dropping him off at daycare, and so now I'm seeing I'm firsthand I'm seeing him really disliking daycare, and then I'm having to go to work, and then at the time at work, it just was a lot going on at work as well. So it was the whole dynamic, and then the financial part, trying to make sure we stayed above water and
Right.
everything. So it was stressful, during that period of time, at least for me.
How long was Benjamin in that daycare before you were able to take him out and keep him yourself? Because you wasn't able to watch him while you were home, right?
Not at all. When I was on dialysis, for about a month and a half. As soon as they told me that I was clear,
It was clear.
I took him out and I said, we're going to keep this money in our pocket. I'm going to keep my baby and I'm going to enjoy the time at home.
And he gonna be happy.
And he going to be happy because that was torture.
Yeah, with the quickness, it took him out. Nice.
Soon as I went in, I said, how do I withdraw and stay here? It was like, everything okay? I was like, we just going to withdraw him.
So today is April 2019. How is your health today?
It's good, other than the up and down weight battle. And
Explain that.
Well, I went in full of fluid, dialysis. They took it off with a quickness. I mean, I was fine, like summertime fine. But being on
Good job. Good job. Wink. Double wink.
So with prednisone, which I was on, I just kind of all that weight that I lost with dialysis, it just bounced back, and now it's been just up and down. Lose some, gain some. The protein in my urine is still kind of high, which is my kidney levels are fine. Just the protein in the urine is high. And other than that, that's it. Oh, and arthritis. It has, and we didn't really discover that I had arthritis until all this went on.
Right.
So now they're still trying to diagnose me with what type of arthritis that I have.
Okay.
So the arthritis, other than that, we're good.
So you're good now. Are you afraid of losing control or going back into that state? And are you afraid for her?
It's always in the back of my mind that it could possibly happen again. But I do try to monitor myself. And he always monitors, like swelling in my leg. I can just prop my feet up and he's like pressing really hard. And I'm like, oh my God, it's time. So, and he always try to make sure I'm staying hydrated. So, it's always in the back of my mind.
Right.
But I try my best to do what I can, not go back.
Right. I would agree. I would say it's there in your mind, but now we know all the signs that we look for in case it happened. Because I think what was happening when she was going through the signs, we didn't recognize them. Or we contributed to something else.
Right.
But see, now we know, okay, you sleep too long.
That's a good point.
You slept for 3 hours a day. Why so now we know, okay. So we if it were to happen again, we would know earlier.
Y'all are pretty hands-on to know, we're not waiting this time. We're not going to try to justify it. We're going straight.
Go straight there.
Because even with the swelling of the legs, it was just me gaining weight. That's what I thought. And when we left the hospital, she was like, well, you still have some swelling in your legs. And me and him both was like, this little normal to us.
Right.
But, now we know, that's not normal.
Right.
Do you think going through in sickness and in health, it has prepared you or will prepare you for if you go through a worse part or a poor part in your marriage or any obstacle that comes up in your marriage? Do you think this right here has prepared y'all to unite as one? Because it seemed like y'all have been on the same one page with each other, looking out for each other, which I love to see, especially in young couples, because a lot of people just get married and they're not really mentally there and willing to... like you said, press hard on that, to make sure, listen, I want to make sure she good. I'm going, if I got the
harder girl, hard.
It's hard. Do you think it has prepared you or will prepare you? Will you keep this in the back of your head if something happens in the future?
Yes. If something is to happen to him, especially with his sickness, we'll definitely be prepared, which I was always prepared. When he went through surgery, everybody keep telling me I need to go back to nursing because I was ready. Ready to take care of him, whatever he had to go through. Financially, we're definitely going to be more prepared.
Right.
It don't take but that one time to realize, okay, we need to have an emergency fund.
Right.
So I think it's definitely going to prepare us for the future ups and downs.
Right. In my mind, I feel like God put us in these situations early on to show, look, marriage ain't easy.
That's the word.
You know what I'm saying? So He showed us, okay, it's gonna take work. You're gonna go through some things that's gonna really, it's gonna break you in the beginning, but it's gonna make you stronger in the end.
Exactly.
So I think anything that we go through going forward, I mean, you know, it won't seem as difficult as that was that we experienced. So.
And how was your sickness?
Mine is pretty good. I mean, I don't see. I mess up when I go to work. Sometimes I don't eat the best when I go to work. But for the most part,
everybody eat Chick-fil-A.
But not as often. Now they done got rid of Chick-fil-A. But I mean, for the most part, it is pretty good. I mean, I'm kind of alert when it comes to like if I'm having any symptoms or anything like that. So I usually can pick out, like if I ate something and it kind of got me in the bathroom, I know I need to back off of certain foods, and so I think for the most part, it's in a good space, I say.
Good. I'm glad to hear that.
Yeah.
Well, thank y'all for joining us. If y'all didn't get anything out of this episode, just remember that your vows will be tested regardless of how long you've been married, how long you may have been with the person, how long. None of that really matters. It can come up at any given time, and just be prepared like Mr. and Mrs. Darius Smith to go through these things. And like they were saying, they brought out a good point of just always staying ready financially, mentally. It's always good. I'm all for optimistic and being optimistic, and but it's always good to know or to be prepared for the worst happening and work together as a team to make it and win and have triumph in your vows. So I appreciate y'all for this interview.
Thank
you.
Thank you. We appreciate it.
He was magnificent. It started with him in the hospital because he did not want to leave her. And I was like, Darius, we can swap out, because I know this sofa chair, whatever it was, is just uncomfortable. So, but I could tell that he didn't want to leave because I kept telling him, okay, I'm here now, you can go. But he was, and I could tell that he was being really, really strong for her. And even though he would come home, I could tell that he wasn't getting rest. But he did not leave her side. I mean, he was extremely encouraging for her, for Benjamin, even for me, because I think he knew at times that I was like just really trying to put up a good front. But he was extremely, right now, it's like I know nobody can tell me anything any different, that he was a godsend for my child. First off, they're newly married, new child, new home, just blessings that a lot of people just don't have in their life. So I was like, and that was one of my prayers to, Lord, let them be able to sustain, to withhold all of the trials and the tribulations that they're going through right now. And he just, I can still, now that we're talking about it, I could see his face in a conversation that we had, that he was like, "Ma, Captain, I love him." And I was like, I know. I said, it's going to be all right. I'm still about to break, but I was like, I know it's going to be all right. So, I'm happy that, they made it through. And I do know that it made them stronger.